that's what I do. The projects in Australia, the big one, battery and.
Thank you.
Estamos on? Testando. Conseguem me ouvir? Conseguem me ouvir?
Hello, 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 hello.
Eu não estou ouvindo. Teste. Ah, me ouço. Me ouço e não quero me ouvir. So, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Mariana. Can you hear me? No? Okay, you need to turn on the phone. Hello, Susanna. Please enjoy us. Yes, you can. Yes. Yes, you can sit here. Yes.
Well, is yours working?
You,
Can you try and get another one?
So let's start again. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am Mariana Marasquin. I am from Youth Climate Leaders. I am executive director of this organization that was created in Brazil in 2018 and is in Portugal since 2021. Our main goal is to work with opportunities on climate careers, education, and network for youth people. And we already formed more than 1,500 youth in this climate area. And we already offered more than 800 mentorships for these youth, these young people. And we are in Portugal trying to making connections to these youngs that want to start to work in this climate careers job, climate related, and being leader. The purpose of this panel is to talk with these three other young people that works in leader positions in their organizations, and they are making the difference in this sector. So the purpose is to talk a little bit about our barriers, our opportunities, and how can we improve this sector for the leadership of youth. As you can notice, my English is not the best. I am doing my best job here. So if you don't understand something, you can hands up and ask because we can continue to talk. So I would like to introduce you these three marvelous people. So here I have James Ladbrook. He is part of the Leaders 2050 of Australia, and he is a manager at KPMG, and he is introduced herself after too. I have here Zuzana Borowska. She is founder of the Open Dialogues Foundation, and he is introduced herself more a little bit after. And I have Pedro here, Pedro Sereno. He is ATCC manager of European Youth Energy Network. So these three will talk with us a little bit. So I will start to ask a question that you have kind of 5 minutes each to answer about, let me see my question here, so don't be mistaken. So I would like to know the most significant barriers that you as a youth are facing when you trying to get careers in climate sector, and how can cross-sector collaboration can effectively address the challenges to ensure this just transition. You can relate it with your sector and try to make a point with the other, but we will keep in talking after. Okay, I can start with you, James. Could be?
Thanks, Mariana. Hi everyone, my name is James. I'm from Sydney, Australia, which took 27 hours to get here. Yes, I work at KPMG Australia as a renewable energy consultant. So what that means is we advise on the largest renewable energy projects in Australia. Last year at COP, I was speaking with the minister in Portugal about offshore wind, which Portugal have, and since then, Australia has actually launched offshore wind zones. We worked with some companies on their bids. And so, yeah, these large offshore wind parks, which will hopefully happen in Australia soon. There's a target for 2030 of 1 gigawatt. I also work on the largest batteries, solar farms, and onshore wind farms as well. So that's my job. Before I go into my second kind of role that you mentioned, maybe I'll mention the barriers question. And more importantly, what are some not barriers? So in KPMG Australia, there are over 10,000 employees just in Australia. Do you know what the average age of an employee in Australia is for KPMG? Does anyone want to guess? 26. The average age is 26, which means out of those 10,000 employees, 5,000 of them roughly are 26 or younger, okay? So there's no barrier of young professionals in technical jobs that indirectly or directly relate to climate change in Australia, right? The barrier is really how can they help? How can they get into spaces where they can learn about other sectors, as you mentioned, right? Like they might work in ESG accounting, they might work in renewable energy like me, but if you really want to make a difference and know wholeheartedly what's happening in the sector, you need to be able to connect with other people. So that's why I started Leader 2050 in Australia, which addresses that barrier. It's an international program that runs out of KPMG globally in 20 other countries. So I'm just the leader in Australia. And so, yeah, we hope to actually empower those 5,000 plus young people, you know, and help them with their leadership skills, help them with their climate career, and run events around Australia about climate change events, not just renewable energy, not just ESG accounting, but all the intersectional lenses of them. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is amazing to know that 26 is the average of this job, because we don't have this neither in Brazil, neither in Portugal, absolutely. But I would like to ask the same question to you, Susanna, and you can use this micro. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. No?
Or no? No? It works? Okay. I don't really hear the difference, but that's fine. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's very nice to see you. My name is Zuzana. I'm from Poland, and I'm 22 years old right now, but it's actually already my 6th time here at COP, so I'm very passionate about these issues. But as Mariana said, also facing some challenges, and that's why I think it's very nice that you are having an event like this to actually discuss it. So, as Mariana said, I'm the founder and president of an NGO called Open Dialogues International Foundation, and this organization was created 2 years ago. Currently, it is a registered NGO. That was also a difficult process, but we managed to do it, and we work mainly on promoting open dialogue on different social issues. Our main project is Open Dialogues on Climate Change, which is where Mariana and her team also participated. So it's an international project where we have teams from different countries. They do open dialogues on climate issues in their local communities. They do it the way that they want, the way that they need, and they choose their topics and everything. And then we help them to, bring the outcomes of that to a more global level. Also having a mentorship program where we teach them how to organize those events, and most importantly, how to also follow up with them. So how to have some specific outcomes. And here some people go for more policy advocacy kind of things. Some people do things like tree planting or setting up environmental clubs at schools. And we are all around the world. If you want to learn more about this project specifically, there will be a side event tomorrow. But I wanted to talk more about like yeah, the job situation and the different roles that I'm in, because at the same time I'm also here as a negotiator in the UNFCCC, and I've done this for 2 years now, but for countries that are not my country. So that's a very interesting situation. Last year I was with Liberia. This year I'm with Dominican Republic. It's not working, sorry. I think there's some. Yeah, I don't know. Should I shout or what?
Is it working? Yeah, it is. It is.
Hello? Oh, now that's great. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we are not being silenced anymore. That's important. Okay, yeah. So, but coming to the question, like, so I have both of these roles. I'm a president of an NGO and I'm a climate negotiator, but guess what? I don't get paid anything for none of this. So I think in terms of barriers, that's a significant thing. Like I would say the barriers are mostly for young people, financial, also kind of institutional, structural. I think it's very hard to enter those spaces, especially if you want to, like, let's say, aim high, because I want to work, for example, in international policy, right? And that's not very easy if you do anything related to politics. Also, the positions are very fragile, sort of, because as I said, last year I was with Liberia, but I'm not with them anymore because they had elections and things changed. So that's very difficult, and like I actually do all of this for free because I'm really passionate about it and because I love it. But for some people, I think that might be very difficult. The thing that I do to actually earn money is I teach people English, so it's not very related to this space. But I think and I hope that initiatives like the ones that I do with my organization can hopefully help people to get into those spaces. I believe there's a lot of power in the community that we have and in the people. So what we need is we need to connect those people to the resources that they need, and maybe to other people who can empower them more. So I think that's also an idea for the cross-sectoral collaboration that you mentioned about. I think we will discuss that later. So let's say that's it for me for now. Thank you very much, and let's continue.
So Pedro, what is the barriers that you think that you're mostly facing in your sector?
So thanks a lot for the invite, Mariana. I want to congratulate, obviously, YCL and the Portuguese Pavilion for having youth here. We are clearly not being silenced, and I can vouch for that, at least in the Portuguese Pavilion. Going very quickly through what the European Youth Energy Network does. So we are basically a federation of youth energy associations in Europe. We also aim to be soon a think tank, because we want to start having more materialized positions on specific topics related to energy. And I can give you an example where we are creating a task force to work on energy poverty, especially focused on the difficulties that youth all over Europe have. And we are going to present it to the European Commission very soon. We also have other initiatives, and this is very useful to explain, because we were recently meeting with DGNR, part of the European Commission, the Director General of DGNR, to explain there some of the work that we do. And we are already recognized as the main focal point for youth in terms of energy. And we are very proud to have, for example, a specific flagship event that we call European Youth Energy Forum, where every year we gather 60 people from all over Europe, completely fully funded, so to make sure that no one has barriers accessing these discussions and building the position papers that we built there, in order to make sure that everyone has heard and they don't need to be prevented from shouting their difficulties and the barriers that they face for financial reasons. That being said, and to help you decomplicate a little bit, I know that ETCC is probably not very clever, not very obvious association. ETCC stands for Energy Transition Careers Compass, a platform that we are building right now online to help to guide youth in energy transition careers, but I'll leave that for later, the explanation of what we have on that platform. And I'll just like to add that the main barriers that we've been facing, and that's part of the reason that we created ETCC, are the complexity of all the information regarding energy transition, regarding climate, because I don't know about you, but I've been working in the renewable energy sector for 4 years now, and I still get confused with some of the acronyms that pop up every day, the new technologies. So it's really, really hard to follow up everything that's coming up every single day in this sector. For well, I will not call me an experienced professional. I can never imagine how it will be for someone that's finishing high school, that's finishing university. So in that sense, I think that we have a responsibility. We as youth associations interested in the topic, also the decision makers, also the private sector, the NGOs, we have this responsibility of creating capacity building opportunities for youth all over Europe. My colleague already spoke about funding necessities, already spoke about other necessities. I'll focus on the capacity building, because if we empower youth to understand better the needs and what's going on the decision-making moments, I think they'll be much more prepared and much more aware, and they'll feel much more comfortable to take part on those moments. And I'll leave it here for now.
Thank you so much. You are doing a very, very great job. What can I understand about this is that for James, the opportunities has been much easier in Australia than here in Europe. I can feel a little bit this, because in Australia we can see this improvement of this participation of youth, and here we are trying to get financial, get resources, get information, and it's difficult to can be part of the be part of the negotiations, be part of the I don't know, the things that that's really matter in the careers, the technical careers, the jobs related to we can find the just transition and the decarbonization. But very, very good, this different point of views. My second question is related with the innovative leadership training and capacity building that we need to empower. Why is so important improve the leadership of youth on climate careers? Because if you're thinking about another careers, it's not so important, and oh my God, why we as climate fighter or climate worker, why is so important to improve, to improve the leadership? Why we need leaders in this sector? And I don't know if you want to start, or if we want to change who we started. Can be, we can keep on doing in this way. Okay, so we start again with James. Thank you.
Thanks, Mariana. I think, frankly, with traditional industries, it's pretty clear, like to get from to be a junior to get to a leadership position. So, like for example, you can start in accounting and then eventually go. I think the mic, it's working. Okay. And you spend 10, 15 years working, and you can get to be like a CEO or a CFO or a CIO, right? But ESG teams in not only just corporate companies but also NGOs are still small, and so the ESG manager is never considered like some amazing CEO, high paid, high influence, big like conference going kind of role. So I think that's probably the first reason why leadership is really important, is because it doesn't exist that much yet. I think the second reason is just because, like, if you, as I said before, like there's just so many young people that don't know where to start, and so if you can empower one person and then they can start that fire between 10 that turns into 100, turns into 1,000 people, that really care about climate change, because everyone cares about climate change, but especially the younger generation, they really care, and that's why Leaders 2050 has grown so fast in Australia in the last 1 year. In a company that, traditionally, and especially these UN situations, you think, oh, it's a corporate KPMG consulting, they're like taking a devil's pact and they don't really care about anything except profit. But, there's 10,000 people, 5,000 of them are under 26 that do really care. And so I think not necessarily has it been that much easier in Australia, but I think like within our island, like I was able to, really push, and a lot of incredible young leaders are here at COP that are able to be pushing for this change as young leaders. But I think there's a massive barrier between Australia and actually connecting to the other side of the world. Like, not only just geographically we're so far away, but Susanna has done so much, and Pedro in Europe. Like I have struggled with connecting to my European and Latin American and American counterparts. So I think that's still a barrier. But yeah, I think that's, just I would take the approach about the little flames are there in every single young person with climate change. If we can be a leader, which is, the definition of a leader is inspiring others, that is how we can create these incredible careers that can blossom into incredible, senior positions, which currently are very limited. So that's what I would say. Susanna, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I hope this is still working. Yes, perfect. Okay, nice. Yeah, so from my point of view, it's actually kind of interesting because, as I said, like, so on one side, I have an NGO, so I'm sort of in the NGO sector, and on the other side, I work a lot with the policy advocacy kind of things. And what I see, that like here in policy, you would mostly meet, like, well, old and rich people, right? And in NGOs, you would mostly meet young people and not very rich people, and also lacking knowledge, lacking skills, lacking capacity, but still with great ideas. I even have a brother who is 11 years old, and he has great ideas related to climate. So, I mean, that is all the case for empowerment. So you need to, bring those people. And also, I agree, it's important to bring people together from different parts of the world, because that allows for the exchange of ideas. And only if you exchange the ideas and inspire each other, then you can create something, right? So yeah, I think, as you said, being a leader is about inspiring. So that's exactly what. So we already have young leaders, but we need to like show to the world like how those people are actually capable and that they can do something. For example, they can make decisions that make sense. They can create projects that make sense. They can create positions of impact, and they will not fail because they know how to do it. There is this misconception maybe that, or this general feeling that a young person is probably someone incompetent, and this is not true, honestly. Like currently, at least within this climate space, the most competent people I know are young people. And also in my project, most of the leaders of the teams that we have, they are also young people. So, I mean, that only shows, right? And especially the passion. I think that the passion that young people have is like, has a lot of power to change, and also to change the existing, structures that currently stop us from taking the lead, and like showing some very innovative ways to do things. Because if we keep doing the things the same way all the time, things are not going to change, right? So I think that is why it is so important. Yeah.
With a shot with this one. So yes, I totally agree. What would have totally aligned on that sense. We also have a responsibility. I think that's also important to notice. So I think it's important that we make decision makers, the private sector, the rest of the NGOs to realize that they should involve the youth. But as the few privileged ones that can be in these forums and these events, they should also make sure that they can create possibilities and forums and opportunities for our fellow country people and the rest of the young people that we get to know in different forums to come to these decision-making moments in order to give them those specific opportunities. As I told you, that's part of our objective at the European Youth Energy Network. We are also focused in the Energy Transition Careers Compass in giving youth the skills to be able to be in these high-level meetings with appropriate positions and knowledge to be taken even more seriously in those high-level events. Doing a very brief summary of our project. So basically, we were a bit tired of seeing recruitment platforms just focused on the employers, and we started thinking on the view of the employees as well, especially the younger generations. And what we created was an online platform that maps the available jobs, not in terms of positions in companies, but the general terms. So, for example, I work as a funding specialist at my company. So what does a person that works in funding does in a normal day? So what we do is we map all those jobs, we give a specific description so that youth can have a more concrete view of what a person with that role does in their everyday position, and we even give some recommended skills to have that specific job. So, and I'm emphasizing the recommended and not required, because I've seen many of my colleagues not having the general, more common skills that we would expect from a specific job, but still excelling at that job. So to create barriers for people to obtain those specific jobs. On a second version of our platform, we will, yes, engage with companies, NGOs, even governments, to make sure that we create a fourth column of open positions on those places that people can apply if they think they descriptions. And we will also give free trainings, and this is a very important part, so that when I see, for example, time management, project management in a specific job, and if I feel that I don't have that specific skill, we are going to empower that specific person to be able to apply to that job and excel at that job, and do not have financial barriers to be part of that job and be able to pursue their dream. So that's a very brief explanation of our platform, and well, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Very good. What were you talking about to follow the leader and the director of the company and be able to be part? I think James was talking to me earlier about that how in Australia and KPMG in Australia you are allowed to follow your director and your chief to the events, to the conferences, and be part of this select group and understand how to work after. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it links to the capacity building, both from like a technical skills standpoint when talking about something like renewable energy, and then also like kind of like an emotional project management communication standpoint. So the example I gave Mariana before is that my boss, who actually does really believe in the juniors in her team, when she has these like high level meetings with a potential client or like a government contact, she maybe will invite one of us to just sit in, right? Or maybe if she's going to a dinner or having a luncheon with a client, she'll invite one of us and say, oh, just quickly, do you want to come? And so what that does, to put it very simply, is it gives an opportunity. It gives a chance, right? You can just sit there and do nothing and not take notes. You can sit at the dinner and eat your dinner and do nothing. But what you can do is engage and talk to that executive, or make a connection with someone that you're sitting next to, or learn about what a client's current problem is, and think about a solution, and then maybe propose it to them. So what that does is it's in essence it's equal opportunity, and so that gives a potential young leader a chance to capacity build and involve themselves in something greater than they would have normally done in their job, and that is the start of becoming a young leader. So I think those sort of examples is something that's quite simple for a senior leader to do. They're about to run to a meeting, or let's say, you're an NGO, like you're the lead of UNICEF, and you invite one of your young ambassadors to a dinner with other NGOs or policy advisors. You know, that's pretty simple, and that can give a chance to one of your juniors to show. They show how much they care, show their passion, and show their skills that we've been talking about. You know, young people do have these skills, and I think it's really important to just give them a chance to show that leadership potential.
What was the question for me?
No, you were like agreeing a lot with what he was saying, and I asked if you want to talk a little about this participation, this be, when we can be part of the things, even that we are not in doing anything, or and can see in the practice what can we do more than just receiving materials and making courses, and how we can actively be part of the big plan, you know, like.
Yeah, I do think that's super important. I really agree with you that, you know, actually, and even in those spaces here at COP, I don't know if people will agree with me, but I think, you know, the biggest power probably is to be in the room. So, because you don't have to be right away, you know, the main person that is speaking and everyone's listening to you, but you are there and you see how the process is going. And for me, when I first got that chance, it was like really fascinating and I learned so much. And this, you know, like enabled me and empowered me to actually then try and even ask, you know, for that maybe more influential role, because that's how I actually got into the negotiations. I just came up to some countries, developing countries, and I asked, can I support you in your negotiations, because I'm passionate about that and I want to support the global south. And they said yes, surprisingly. So, you know, it happens. But for that, you need the empowerment, exactly, you know. And like even right now, for example, I'm also mostly involved in, you know, just listening to people, taking notes, but this gives me information, and information is power in today's world, that's for sure. And also connections to people, right? I mean, in different industries, connections are maybe to different extent important, but at least here in, let's say, politics, diplomacy, whatever, it's like super important, probably the most important thing, because then people can, as you said, invite you somewhere and then connect you to another person, and then that gives you opportunities. We are in a very unstructured sort of space. So that means sort of that, you know, the opportunities are sort of unlimited, but also very uncertain, and you can't really plan things that well. So you need to, that's also a skill that you need to learn, but you need to experience how this actually looks like before, because for example, you know, the COP here, it's like so different in reality than what you would hear, let's say, in the media, right? Or from people from the outside. You need to learn in practice, and that's also something that, like, in my organization, we really care about that. So people learn in practice through actually implementing those projects, and some of them are very small, but then they become bigger, and this is beautiful, because then we show people, you know, how you can organize an event, how you can manage the project. And even if they fail with something, it's okay, because failure is also part of the process. That's also something we need to remember, you know, while we talk about all those leaders, achievements and stuff. Sometimes it's really overwhelming. I mean, you know, even for a person like me, where I do all this stuff, but still it's sort of not formally what I'm doing. So it's difficult to sometimes position yourself in this landscape. And I think, you know, experiencing things in reality really helps with that. Whoever wants the mic.
Thank you so much. I was wondering if Pedro has this the organization that we work has some connection with the government, and how the government can help your organization to improve all the things that you are done in this organization. And after, I would like to know about this for you, and for you, James, if the government can be can make some role on this.
That's a very good question. So we are a very recent NGO. We were created 3.5 years, more or less. We're about to make to have our 4th year anniversary, and it took a long time to get to the place that we are right now. And if I can say so, I'm not sure if you guys are. Yeah, I can. If I can give some feedback about that, is that we started by realizing that we cannot hope to be in the high-level meetings without having some good work, some prepared work beforehand, to make sure that we arrive at those meetings with some specific suggestions and with ideas to implement, and on how to implement those specific ideas. That being said, we've been able, as I told you in the beginning, to have a great partnership with the European Commission right now. We are also working it in specific governments where we have more members. Portugal is a very good example about that. But I would advise that future NGOs and youth associations to be careful about a specific topic. So I think that what motivated most of us in the beginning was we were tired to see ideas being implemented that we could imagine that they were created in a room full of men, old men specifically, and we can even imagine them having that discussion and saying, I'm pretty sure that youth will enjoy this idea. And usually that goes really, really wrong. And we, based on that idea, we started to create our own projects and trying to reverse those initiatives and being more active in the specific moments where we can be more active. But what we are realizing right now is that there is the beginning of a phenomenon called youth tokenism or youth washing. And we need to be very careful about this specific topic, because we feel sometimes, I'm not generalizing this concept, but sometimes we feel that we are called to the discussions, we are called to the meetings, and then what happens is they hear our idea, they take pictures with us in the end, but then there are no consequences of those meetings and of those discussions. And this is, for us, is it's a huge problem that we need to address right now. I want you to picture very quickly, I'm not talking about the distribution, but just imagine the curve of the normal distribution. So it starts very low, then it grows, and then it becomes very low again. And I think that this can be the future of youth participation, and if these types of initiatives keep happening. So the youth participation was very low in the beginning, then it started to grow because we started to have more ideas, being more active about the implementation of our ideas. But in the future, if we feel that these ideas are not listened, we will probably, move on to other types of complaints and more, I don't like the word aggressive, but more incisive types of approaches and activism. So be careful with that. If you ever see that this is happening, please make sure that you you talk about it. You make sure that when you are in meetings, make sure that you follow the consequences of those meetings, because otherwise you will push back youth again, and the problem will be solved in other manners, of course.
All right, same question. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, I really agree with you about the tokenism and youth washing. I think these are very serious issues that we see a lot, especially here, because now, all politicians, they want to have youth participation by inviting youth to all the different meetings. And some people, they kind of get caught in this because they are looking for opportunities, and then they get an opportunity and they are very happy about it, but then they become frustrated because they realize that probably, this has no outcome. And as you said, yeah, we just take pictures, and I've been there a lot. And an interesting thing even is, like, from my experience, how differently treated I am, if I'm, for example, introduced as a youth activist and how different it is when I am the party negotiator, right? But I'm the same person still, but they treat you very differently. And, you know, then even the way that you look, like I look like I'm 15 years old, right? So people don't take me seriously, usually, right? And I think that's also a bit of a problem that you have to like think really systematically to address, because it's even like some people, if they want to be, say, youth inclusive, like, you know, these issues, they just don't realize maybe that they are treating you differently. And for example, you know, same with my NGO, right? So we usually don't choose to say that we are a youth NGO, even though, like, so all the people on the board of my organization and the whole team is basically young women. But we usually don't say that. But we'd rather, you know, focus on the initiatives that we do and the dialogues and the thing. And we sort of choose to not take the youth narrative, because what's the picture in your mind when you hear youth activists? This is, you know, this person shouting at a protest and probably maybe doing something not exactly legal, and, you know, just shouting but not having specific ideas and not having technical knowledge, right? And so what we do is we are sort of trying to show that there are some people who do have that knowledge and want to work in a different way, right? So they are still young people, but they are not necessarily the activists. We can do a lot of different things. And even here at COP, you know, you don't need to go to the protests if you are a young person. You can engage in different things, you know. And I thought in the beginning, like, I was doing a bad thing, that I want to engage in the negotiations because the people said that negotiators are the bad people. But that's actually also a way of influencing the system, right? You have to do it both from the outside, from the inside, and from all the different ways. And in terms of the government, because I think that's something that you mentioned. So, for example, you know, we in our NGO, we don't really work with governments in the sense that we prefer to be independent. Because sometimes, you know, if you work with the government, then certain requirements come with this and certain obligations, right? So here to COP, if I come with the government, it's a bit of a different thing. I can't say everything I want, right? So that's like sort of what I do. I mean, governments still should support organizations, but I think we should prioritize, for example, those initiatives where it is the NGOs or the young people leading actually the thing, not being just, you know, this tokenistic picture of, you know, the government maybe funds them and creates something and gives them a space to talk. They should actually design the thing. They should actually create the thing, and I think that's how we should do it, and that's how hopefully people working with my organization do it, and we hope to continue that. Thank you.
Thanks, Susanna. Okay, just really quickly. Susanna at the start mentioned something really interesting, which is how she gets perceived differently when she is stated her position. The reason why she's treated differently when she says youth activist versus negotiator is because any young person can be a youth activist, but not every young person can be a negotiator. And that shows something that she has behind her, right? Something that she represents that people really want to respect. So for an example for young people, just really quickly, is that if you have something behind you, if you represent something, if you've done an event, for example, Will and I did an event 2 days ago, and government members and ambassadors came up to talk to us about it. Oh, you want to do Climate Action Week Sydney next year? Oh, I'd be really interested in getting involved in that, to do a government initiative with that, right? That's because there's something behind you. So I think, just really to summarize, like with young people and young leaders, the government should just be open to them. And as you just said, we should bring the initiatives to them. And if it's something that they respect, and hopefully they'd be open enough to respect it, then that's how the young leaders can actually make a difference with our own initiatives and with something that's behind us that, you know, shows that we're young leaders that should be respected. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We need to end our panel because we just have 45 minutes. I could be here to the rest of the afternoon with you. Thank you for your inspired job. I hope you could take some highlights to know how we can improve the youth leadership, and I hope you can keep with this conversation more and more to can have more and more youth in these positions to make the difference, and we can get the just transition. So thank you so much again. Thank you, James. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Pedro. I know you are doing a lot here in this COP. You are not just here to be what's going on. We are now actually making difference here. So thank you for your job. Thank you for being here, and and is that. So thank you. Bye.